Here we are. If you are not a dad in recovery or not a person with a dad in recovery, maybe your dad was a dad in recovery or not married to a dad in recovery, this is not for you. Well, that's not true. It's probably for everybody, but here we go. This message today is a couple of purposes. One is we're going to talk about we're going to talk about. I think I have a problem. Is it working? Yeah, it's working. Okay, we're going to talk about dads in recovery. I have an event coming up on the 29th of March, and this is a message to dads in recovery or kids with dads in recovery or people that know dads in recovery. And the message is that, first of all, there seems to be no benchmark in this whole idea of being a father. And we're kind of thrown into it. Many of us were thrown into it when we were still in very serious active addiction. And a lot of the fellas that I'm working with these days are dads that have sobered up later, maybe in their 40s and 50s, and they're kind of uh, stuck with, not stuck with, but they've sobered up into the mess. Their first family is gone, maybe even their first and second family with kids, two kids or six kids, or are not, in their lives anymore, and it becomes like, what do I do? What how do I rebuild this? How do I? And a lot of guys, a lot of men have said it's not repairable, and I want you to know that that's not true. It is repairable. And I also want you to know that it doesn't really matter how old your kids are, they want it to be repaired. I mean, they may seem angry. Of course, they're angry. You know, they may have pushed you away at one time, and that's understandable because it hurts. And so the part of this day, this event that's going to touch on that, I think it's going to be so meaningful for a lot of men to hear other men's stories, because that's what we're going to do. I mean, one of the contexts of the event is you're no longer alone, and so you're going to hear other men, who've had success in that area of rekindling old relationships, rebuilding trust. I mean, that's the thing. For those of us in recovery, we realize that, it says in our big book that, it takes a while. It takes some time to rebuild trust, but we have to do something, and however we reach out, reaching out is part of it. So we're going to go into that. We're going to delve into it in depth, in our day. So if you're a man who's sobered up maybe late in life and you're wondering, how do I rebuild those relationships? I want to talk to you. Or if you know a man like that, if a man like that is your dad, I want to talk to him. And, this has become my purpose, really, to help men rebuild relationships, but also to help younger men who, maybe sobered up and started a family in recovery. Man, I've seen it. Gosh, I had a guy living here, the single fella, a few years ago. He left and got tied up with a gal, and they had a child, and they made it about a year together or so, and then he moved out. It's a mess. And you know so I suspect he needs to be here. And that happens. We're not really ready for it sometimes. We're not ready for relationships. We're not ready for fatherhood, and there's not a lot of, we don't talk about it in the rooms that much. So we're going to talk about it on the 29th of March. And it's my mission, and I'll talk to you about it anytime between now and then. Call me, text me. Let's get the ball rolling. It's coming together really well. I've got some fellows that are going to assist because in the event, and I've got about a dozen men that have said yes, I'm in, and we're doing registrations on them, and so it's happening. Just kind of creating this, following the lead. I see it as my purpose, my vision. So, love you fellas and families. And my goal is to have 75 men, and my thought is that out of that 75 men, there will be somewhere around 300 kids not coming to the event, but it will affect them. And possibly, 125 is just numbers I'm pulling out of the air. Women who's been married to these men or had kids by these men. So lots of folks will be affected by the work that we do, and so hopefully you can join us. Talk to me, and we'll figure it out. Okay, love you lots. Cheers. I don't think it didn't.